Hello. So, I wanted to go through the process of taking data from the Google form and turning it into a graph. So hopefully you have this document open. You'll notice that at the bottom, see there's a tab for directions and there's a tab for doing your work. We're in the directions tab right now. And it says, first, make sure you have watched the video. You're doing that. Good job. Nice work. Second, we're going to write your final question in the box provided. So we go over to the My Work section, and you write out your question. I'm actually going to use a question from an old end of the week exit ticket. What is your favorite type of pie? If you did not come up with a question, you're welcome to pick a question from the form. So hopefully you've all filled out the form at this point. So if there's one that caught your eye that you'd like to make a graph about, you can do that. Or if you came up with a question that does not require the form, if you're coming up with your own question, that's also fine. Third, you're either going to let me know that you're ready for your data, or if you've gathered your own data, you're going to import it into the Google Sheet. So on my end, I have my own data that I have taken from an old end of the week exit ticket. And so this is my data. There's a lot of it. And you will have a lot as well. We've had a lot of responses. So the first thing that I need to do is I need to organize this data so that I can kind of read it and start to put it into a form that will be easy to understand. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to sort it alphabetically. So I highlight my data, you just saw me do that, and then I can go up to data and I can sort my range. And I can sort it alphabetically. And what that'll do is that kind of simplified what I'm looking at. And I can kind of take a look. So I have a lot of responses. I have a lot of similar responses, but I also have a few that are different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and compile these responses into a table with numerical data, because it's a graph, so I want it to be numerical. So if I look at my responses, the first response that I see is apple. So if I go through, I can count how many people said that apple pie was their favorite. I can do that really quickly by kind of highlighting the parts that said apple. And then down in my corner it says count. You can also use the numbers on the side, and I see that 22 people said apple. I know someone said apple and pumpkin, but I'm going to address that in a minute. Then we had blueberry. 2 people said blueberry. I see 1 for cherry. So here's where it gets a little interesting. So I see that I have 3 answers that are not exactly the same, but they're kind of the same. So I see that I have a chocolate chip, and a chocolate cream. So I could decide to put them all in separate data points, or because they're fairly similar, I'm going to choose to lump them all together and say chocolate and have that be 3. And this is a personal choice for you and your data, but especially for those of you who had like that option for something else, you might want to do that. So I'll see, so we have that, we have one for banana. And we have a bunch of people that say, I don't like pie. So I'm actually going to count this as 2. So we have, let's see. And again, there's some people who are saying, I don't like it. Some people say, I don't eat it. But I'm going to kind of lump them all together because it's pretty similar. So that's going to be 10. Actually, I might put an 11 in there because I have that not sure. So I'm going to lump that in with the I don't like it, or I'll make that 11. We have key lime. We had 5. We have Oreo. We have 2 for Oreo. Three for pecan. 2 for peach. I think our last data point is pumpkin. So we actually had 14 because we had that one that's up at the top. So now I have numerical data ready to go. You may have more data points, you may have less data points. It really is going to be unique to you and what you asked. So just like we've always done, whenever we make an online graph, we highlight our data, just the stuff we want to make the graph about, nothing more, nothing less. And then we go up to this Insert Chart button up here. Give it a second, and then we have a chart. And now you have some time to play around, to adjust, to look at different types. You could make, this is a pie, it's a graph about pie, so it starts with a pie chart, but there's also, we can do a line, we can do a sideways line, whichever one you pick, you can choose, you can play around, you can add different things, you can add a title. All these different things, you can play around with, change the colors of different things, all different things to really make it the way you want to think about what we've talked about when it comes to making a graph, and what do the colors signify, what do they make you think of. All of these are options for you. When you are all done, up here there's a little box. I am okay with my graph being used in a Graph of the Week Go Formative, or I do not want my graph used in a Graph of the Week Go Formative. Please check one to let me know if you want your graph included or not. So we've made our graph, and then we can turn it in. When it comes to making these graphs, we've talked about this. Making a graph is a little bit subjective, so you're going to have to make some artistic choices. If you gathered your own data, you do not have to have this kind of raw data column. You are welcome to start by creating this kind of data table with the numerical data. That might be better for you. But And of course, you can always ask me questions if you need help figuring things out, getting things to look the way you want to. If you have an option of, like for mine, it says I don't like pie, I could choose to maybe not include that if you wanted, or someone, if you were doing one of the sports questions and what's your favorite sports team, and someone said I don't have one, you could also make the choice to not include some of those other responses if you want. It's all about how you want to present the data. And of course, again, you can always ask me questions.